Right, g'day everyone, it's update time, the Zero to Hero series. We're actually starting to maybe get somewhere now. I got knocked for 6 by the first dose of the Pfizer COVID vaccine. Really severe chronic fatigue, left me mostly unable to train for 2 to 3 weeks. Heart rate was through the roof, just trying to do gentle rides. So that's really slowed down our progress.
So how did we manage Neill through that tender period, and what's his new cycling goal? That's coming up. So welcome back to the RCA Training Tips Show and this series, Zero to Hero, where we are trying to take Neill Stanbury from a low level of cycling fitness after having 6 months off the bike due to having his second child, back to his cycling glory days. Now, the beauty of this series and the reason why it's so relatable for many of us out there is Neill is strapped for time, like most of us. He runs his own bike fitting business, he's very hands-on with his family and kids, and to really tighten the screw, his kids are super young, meaning a lack of sleep and some daycare bugs thrown into the mix. But it's ultimately been the side effects from the COVID shot, from the vaccine, that has had the biggest impact on Neill's training to date. I'm going to show you a graph here which replicates this in a training software called Today's Plan, which we use at the RCA. Here you can see nothing. This is where Neill was obviously not riding. And here is where he starts to train. Now, the length of the bar indicates something called chronic training load, which is a representation of your long-term training load or fitness. The colors of the graph indicate whether you should be feeling fresh or fatigued. So red is fatigue, orange is in between, and green is fresh. Now, Neill had the COVID shot on the 14th of October, and here you can see his training has dropped off. And while this is telling us Neill should be feeling fresh, clearly he wasn't. And this is why speaking to people or listening to your own body trumps the data any day of the week. But in order to bring Neill back on track, I said to him, let's just pull the pin on training. I don't even want you to ride at all, even aerobically. If what you're feeling is like a chronic type of fatigue. He even said to me one day, I walked up my stairs at my house and I was puffed. I felt like I needed to sit down, which is not good. So, as you can see, for a couple of weeks at least, I removed any scheduled training and said to Neill, I don't personally think you should be training at all, but if you want to get out of the house, you want to go for a ride, you feel like you're getting your energy back, just go do zone 2. Don't do much volume, an hour, 90 minutes max, and see how you feel. So there were a few days where he felt like he had some energy, went out for a ride and was proven to be wrong. As you can see, this simple zone 2 ride here, Neill's heart rate is way up. From a zone 2 power output, his heart rate is above 150 beats and drifts into the 160s versus say a ride beforehand where he's riding zone 2 here, and you can see the heart rate is in its 130s, low 140s before he starts to do some hill repeats, which, might I add, are executed to perfection with a consistent output for every repeat. The only difference is the sprint power, which drops off as he fatigues. Now, I would like to show you some recent heart rate data in the last few weeks where Neill's been feeling good, but he's been a naughty boy. He hasn't been wearing his heart rate strap much. So Neill, we're expecting you to wear your heart rate strap moving forward. And I even have some data where it looks like we've got some good heart rate stuff, but it's been corrupted, as you can see here. So we'll investigate this heart rate stuff in more detail when we conclude this series. But the good news is, as I've just said, Neill is feeling better and he has a goal.
So Cam's just trying to get me into shape, and we're getting somewhere. I did a really good hard training ride yesterday and actually felt pretty good. So starting to see a little bit of improvement, and we've set ourselves a target, which is the Budrum 9 challenge ride, which is a challenge ride in my local area here with 9 really steep, gnarly climbs in it up the same mountain from all different sides. And that's going to be a really good challenge for me. It suits my physiology really well. Lots of climbing, 76 kilometers, and not particularly long, but lots and lots of steep hills. So that's going to be our goal. That's just before Christmas.
So we don't have much time between now and December 19th. So what I have said to Neill, first of all, if you start to feel this chronic fatigue sensation creeping back in, let's get on the phone. Let's pull the training. We don't want to be training through anything like that. But He's all good at the moment, and after he returned from a trip away, which you can see here, being the orange bar, which was a week he only got in 3.5 hours of training, I said we're going to go hard on the intensity and volume over the next 3 weeks, because what I want you to do is have a 2-week taper. Week 1 of taper, which will be 2 weeks out from the event, I want an easy week in terms of volume and intensity. We're going to absorb the physical stress that we've put on the system over the last 3 weeks, which we're kind of in the middle of that block now. And the week leading into the event, we'll keep the volume low but incorporate some intensity. In other words, we're going to freshen Neill up after we've fatigued him, which will include training on the same hills and terrain he will have to encounter on event day, and also replicating event day 2 weeks out. And after we've freshened him up, we're going to sharpen Neill up. So the week leading in to the event, so week 2 of the taper, we'll do some intensity, but not a lot of volume, so he's ready to go on event day, which ultimately means that the training stress or the fitness that we've been going for will be completed 2 weeks out from the now target event, which is quite a common taper for recreational and amateur road cyclists, but it's not guaranteed because everyone is different. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how Neill performs on event day. Now, the only tricky part about what we're doing in this current cycle is we're building quite a lot of fitness and fatigue in one hit, and Neill's acute training load, which is a representation of your short-term training load or fatigue, is getting quite high. You can see the big jump in the red bar graphs here, which is more than I'd typically like to see. But we are under some time pressures here, and at the end of the day, Neill isn't doing big volumes. If you look back at the bar graph, we're doing 6 to 7 hours of training. So I've kept in touch with Neill regularly on a weekly basis to see how he's feeling, and so far he's feeling pretty good. So the final video in this series, Zero to Hero, Neill's going to share with us how he went at his target event, the Budrum 9. I'm also going to get Neill to do another FTP test and to do another benchmark climb, so we can look at the previous FTP test and the previous benchmark climb, so we've got real tangible evidence to see how he's improved along this journey. If there's anything else that you'd like to see, leave us a comment below. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.